Hello students, today we are going to discuss a very important topic in the chemical kinetics, that is the first order parallel reaction. First order parallel reaction, it is also called first order side reaction. Okay, now these are the reactions in which one reactant will decompose to give two or more products. One reactant will decompose to give two or more products in different pathways simultaneously, and each pathway is a first order. Each pathway is a first order kinetics. Okay, now these parallel reactions or side reactions, sidewise reactions are very common reactions in organic chemistry. Okay, now in this parallel reaction, more than one products are formed from the same reactant. Then how to predict the major product? The major product will be formed in that pathway in which the rate constant value become very high. Let's suppose we have one general example, reactant A giving product to B and also product to C. There are two products B and C. They are simultaneously forming from the reactant A. Now in the path 1, that is from A to B, the rate constant is given K1, and path 2, that is A to C, the rate constant is given K2. Okay, here K1, K2 are path 1, path 2 rate constants. Okay, now here the units for rate constant here K1 time inverse, because we know for a first order kinetics what is the rate constant units? Time inverse, that is minute inverse, second inverse. With the help of rate constant units we can predict both the path of the reactions follow which order kinetics? First order kinetics. Are you getting my point? Now here in this graph, if you see, on the y-axis concentration, on the x-axis time period is taken. The concentration is a function of time. Okay, now we know initially only reactant is present in the container. Okay, as the time starts, the concentration of reactant slowly decreases in a exponential manner in generally. Okay, in a first order reaction obviously exponentially decreases concentration of reactant, and simultaneously the concentration of product increases exponentially. Here there are two products B and C. Are you getting my point? Now here out of B and C, which concentration will be very high? Are you getting my point? That means the product whose concentration is very high, that will be the major product. Are you getting my point? Just now I told you the major product will be formed from that path of the reaction in which its rate constant is very high. Now in this B and C curve, B curve is upper as compared to the C curve. So the B curve will be upper as compared to the C curve. That means the rate constant K1 is greater than K2. If the rate constant K1 is greater than K2, in the sense the rate of formation of B from A, that is the conversion of A to B, the transformation of A into B is fast as compared to the transformation of A into C, because the rate constant K1 is very high. In the second diagram, the concentration of C is greater than the concentration of the B. In the first case, in the first diagram, concentration of B greater than the concentration of A, because the rate constant, concentration of B greater than the concentration of the C, because the concentration of B, why it is greater than the concentration of the C? Because the rate constant K1 is greater than K2, case 1. Let's suppose in the second case, if the K2 greater than the K1, then the K2 corresponding to transformation of A to C. That means here the concentration of C is greater than the concentration of the B. So in the first diagram, the B will be the major product. In the second graph, C will be the major product. Are you getting my point? Now there are common examples in organic chemistry. Let's suppose ethyl alcohol. The dehydration of alcohols to give alkene or ether. So here there are two different pathways. In the first path, the rate constant K1. In the second path, the rate constant is K2. This is called parallel reaction. Okay. Now one more example, we have 2-chloro-butane. Here the dehydrohalogenation, that is the elimination reaction. Now in this elimination reaction, in one path you will get one alkene, that is one butene. In the second path you will get one more alkene, that is called 2-alkene, that is 2-butene. Okay, in two different pathways, that will depending upon the base which we are using for the elimination. Are you getting my point? Now the two pathways, the rate constants are K1 and K2. Are you getting my point? K1 and K2. Now one more example, we have phenol. One more example, we have phenol, nitration of phenol to give orthonitrophenol and para-nitrophenol. We know para-nitrophenol will be the major product due to intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Because of what? Intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Here for orthoisomer, the rate constant will be K1. For the formation of para-isomer, the rate constant will be K2. And in nuclear reaction also, actinium, let's suppose actinium is a radioactive element which decomposes to give thorium and francium. So two separate pathways by K1 and K2 rate constants. Are you getting my point? Now in this first order parallel reaction, we have to cover the effective order. What is the effective order? That means overall order of the reaction. Number 1. Number 2, effective rate constant. Are you getting my point? Individual rate constant, if you observe K1 and K2, what is the overall rate constant for the parallel first order kinetics? Number 3, what will be the effective half-life T50? Are you getting my point? Next one, what will be the effective activation energy of the overall reaction? Okay, that means we have A to B and also A to C. In A to B, the activation energy, let's suppose EA1. From A to C, the activation energy, let's suppose EA2. Then what will be the overall activation energy? That should be calculated. And one more important fifth point is, at any particular time of interval, how much of reactant will be left? That will be the concentration of reactant left at a time interval T, that will be AT, and the concentration of product obtained at a time interval T, BT, CT. T stands for at a given time interval. Now one more important thing, the percentages of B and percentages of C in the reaction mixture. In the reaction mixture, that means in the product mixture, how much of B will be formed and how much of C will be formed. So these are the important questions regarding the first order parallel kinetics. Are you getting my point? Now let's suppose I am taking one general example, that is reactant A to give product to B and another product to C simultaneously. Okay, here the rate constant value K1, here the rate constant value K2. Let's suppose the units for rate constant, here time inverse K1, here also rate constant K2 units are time inverse, because only we are dealing with what? First order parallel kinetics. Okay, now here the rate of reaction, if you see the rate of reaction, nothing but minus dA by dt. Okay, now here what will be the dB by dt? The rate of formation of B, that is dB by dt, is directly proportional to concentration of reactant A. So by removing the proportionality, I am writing constant K1 times of the concentration of A to the power 1. Why I am writing here 1? Because it is a first order kinetics. So individual, if you see, this is which order kinetics? First order kinetics. Are you getting my point? So this will be the equation number 1. Okay, now come to next one. The rate of formation of C, that is dC by dt, will be again equal to K2 times of the concentration of reactant A at a time interval T, to the power 1. Why I am writing the power 1? It is also first order kinetics. With the help of rate constant units, we know this is also first order kinetics. Are you getting my point? Now equation 1 and equation 2. Now come to the what will be the net rate of reaction. That means if you see initially only reactant is present, let's suppose initial time interval t0 only you have reactants. What is the concentration of reactants? Let's suppose A naught. And what will be the concentration of B at a time interval t0? 0. And what is the concentration of C at a time interval 0? It is also 0 initially. Are you getting my point? Let's suppose at a time interval t. Let's suppose at a time interval t. So x moles of at a time interval t, x moles of B is formed, and let's suppose at the same time of interval t, let's suppose y moles of C is forming. Then how many number of moles of reactant will be left? That will be total number of moles A naught minus of x plus y. Are you getting my point? Now I am writing here at a time interval t, at a time interval t, what is the concentration of reactant? That will be equal to initial concentration minus of how much decomposes? X moles B. It decomposes into B, that is x moles, and decomposes into C, that is y moles. So the remaining moles of reactant at a time interval t will be AT is equal to A0 minus of x plus y. Are you getting my point? Now here what I am writing, the rate of disappearance of A minus dA by dt, which is equal to, now the reactant A will distribute it into B and C, that is two different products. Okay, so now what I am writing here, minus dA by dt, which is equal to k times of the k times, that is the k1. In the path 1 the rate constant will be k1, so k1 times of the concentration of reactant A at a time interval t, plus in the second part k2 into concentration of a reactant at a time interval t. Are you getting my point? So this is the overall rate of the reaction. This is called overall rate of reaction. Overall rate of reaction. Are you getting my point? Now here minus dA by dt equal to, here if you see concentration of A at a time interval t is common, so I am taking the common, so you will get k1 plus k2 into concentration of reactant A at a time interval t. If you see here also the power of the concentration of a reactant will be 1, that means it is also corresponding to first order kinetics. Which order kinetics? First order. That means overall, otherwise effective order of reaction. What is the overall or effective order of reaction? Again it is a first order kinetics. Are you getting my point? Now this will be the equation number 3. Now you see equation 3 is independent equation, but whereas equation 1 2 dependent equations. Equation 1 and equation 2 are dependent equations. Are you getting my point? Because if you see equation 1, so if you want to calculate the concentration of B, we have to compulsory should calculate the concentration of A. Unless until we do not know the concentration of A, it is not possible to calculate the concentration of the B. And also in the second expression also, if you want to calculate the concentration of C, first of all we have to calculate the concentration of reactant A at a time interval t. Okay, are you getting my point? That means we cannot calculate concentration of B and C without calculating concentration of A. Are you getting my point? But if you see equation 3 is independent. We can solve this for concentration of reactant A by doing integration. By doing what? Integration. Are you getting my point? Now what I am doing here? What is the minus dA by dt equal to K1 plus K2 multiplied by concentration of reactant A at a time interval T. Are you getting my point? Now what is the K1 plus K2? Here K effective, that means overall reaction rate constant will be equal to algebraic sum of the individual rate constants. Are you getting my point? This is called effective. This is called what? Effective rate constant. So that's why minus of dA by dt shall write K effective into concentration of reactant A at a certain time interval T. Okay. Now if you integrating on both sides, you can calculate the concentration of a reactant at a particular time of interval. So before going to that, what I am doing, minus of dA by concentration of A at a time interval T equal to K effective into dt. Are you getting my point? Now integrating on both sides. Integration on both sides. Now on the left hand side, integral minus dA upon concentration of A at a time interval T. So K effective nothing but K1 plus K2, which is a constant. So bringing the constant to outside, integral dt. Okay. Now what are the limits here? Now when the time interval T0, what is the concentration of a reactant? A0. When the time reaches to T, what is the concentration of reactant? That will be the AT. Okay. After integration, you will get ln A0, that is a natural logarithm, divided by AT, okay, which is equal to K effective into T. Now what is the K effective? K1 plus K2. So here I am writing ln, that is a natural logarithm, A0 upon AT equal to K1 plus K2 times of the time. K1 plus K2 into time. Are you getting my point? So if you want to convert into logarithm to the base 10, simply we have to multiply with 2.303 logarithm, that is the base 10, concentration of reactant initially divided by at a certain time interval T will be equal to K1 plus K2 times of the T. Okay. From here, what will be the K1 plus K2? K1 plus K2 equal to 2.303 by T log of concentration of reactant initial divided by concentration of reactant at a certain time interval T. So this will be the overall first order parallel reaction rate constant expression. Are you getting my point? Now from in this natural logarithm, from here natural logarithm, we can calculate the concentration of a reactant after certain time interval T. If you bring the natural logarithm to the right hand side, then anti-log, that means concentration of reactant initial divided by concentration of reactant at a time interval T will be equal to e to the power K1 plus K2 times of the time interval. Are you getting my point? From here, I want to find the concentration of a reactant at a time interval T, that is equal to concentration of reactant initially A0 into e to the power minus of K1 plus K2 times of the time interval. Are you getting my point? So this is what concentration of a reactant left after time interval T. Concentration of a reactant left after a time interval of t. Are you getting my point? Now come to what is the concentration of a product B? What is the concentration of a product B? And one more important thing, degree of dissociation. Degree of dissociation alpha, that is equal to 1 minus e to the power minus of k1 plus k2 into t. This is also very important expression regarding the first order parallel kinetics. Alpha 1 minus e to the power minus of k1 plus k2 into t. Okay. Now come to what is the concentration of B. We have to find the concentration of a B at a time interval t. Okay. Now here A gives what? B. What is the rate constant here? That is the K1. Okay. Now here dB by dt equal to K1 times of the concentration of reactant A at a certain time interval t. Okay. We know concentration of reactant at a certain time interval t from the above expression. So now what I am doing here, concentration, change in concentration of B with respect to time period equal to K1 into what is the concentration of reactant A at a time interval t? That will be A0 into e to the power minus of K1 plus K2 times of the time interval. Are you getting my point? Now here what I am writing here, dB, which is equal to K1 into A0 into e to the power minus of K1 plus K2 into t into dt. Now what I am doing here, integrating on both sides. Integration on both sides. Once after doing the integration, integral dB equal to K1 constant, A0 is also constant. So I am writing integral e to the power minus of K1 plus K2 into t into dt. Are you getting my point? Now here time interval I am taking here 0. When the time interval t0, what is the concentration of a product B? 0. Because initially only reactant is present, concentration of product is 0. At a time interval t, what is the concentration of a product B? That is the Bt. Are you getting my point? Now integral dB nothing but the B. So the concentration of B at a time interval t. So K1 constant, A0 is also constant, integral e to the power x is also e to the power of x. So e to the power minus K1 plus K2 into t. Okay. Now in the inner function minus K1 plus K2 times of the t. So the K1 plus K2 coefficient will be come to the denominator with negative sign. And what are the lower limit? 0 and upper limit is the t. Are you getting my point? From here, what is the concentration of B at a time interval t? That is equal to K1 into concentration of reactant at a time interval t 0. Okay. Now bring the minus of K1 plus K2. Okay. Now put the upper limit t, that will be same minus of K1 plus K2 into t minus of, if you bring the lower limit, that is the 0, e to the power 0 nothing but 1. Are you getting my point? Now take the minus 1 minus common, so you will get finally which expression you will get? Concentration of a B at a time interval t, that will be K1 times of the initial concentration A0 divided by K1 plus K2 into 1 minus e to the power minus of K1 plus K2 times of the time interval. So this will be the concentration of a product B formed at a certain time interval t. Are you getting my point? Similarly, if you want to calculate the concentration of C at a time interval t, so from formation of C from A, this is also first order kinetics with rate constant K2. Okay, now here in the above expression, instead of K1 you can put the value K2, and instead of B you can put the value C. So directly what I am writing here, what is the concentration of a product to C at a time interval t? That will be Ct is equal to, instead of K1 I am writing K2, initial concentration is as it is, divided by K1 plus K2, okay, into 1 minus e to the power minus of K1 plus K2 into T. So this is the which concentration? Concentration of the product at a product to C at a time interval T. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? Now the next one, ratio of the concentrations. Ratio of the concentrations. Now what is the concentration ratio of the product to? That is will be the concentration of B divided by concentration of a C at a certain time interval t. Now if you see concentration of B and concentration C, what are the common factors here? A0 that will be cancelled. In the bracket 1 minus e to the power of minus K1 plus K2 into T, that will be also cancel out, and K1 plus K2 is also cancel out. So finally you will get K1 upon K2. What is the concentration ratio of the product B and C? That will be equal to K1 is to K2. Here one important note is there. What is the important note here? Here at any time interval, ratio of concentration of B and C is constant. At any time interval, if you see the concentration of B divided by C, that is the product concentration, is always constant, because K1 is a constant, K2 is a constant, so the ratio is always constant. And the one more important thing here, we have to calculate the percentage B in the mixture of B and C. So you have two products B and C. Now we have to calculate the percentage of B in the reaction in the product mixture. That will be equal to K1 divided by K1 plus K2 into 100. Now suppose what I am writing here, concentration of product B at a certain time interval t. Let's suppose I am taking some A times of the K1 or some X times of the K1, otherwise P times of the K1, any constant parameter, and concentration of C at a time interval t, let's suppose again P times of the K2. Okay, now if you want to calculate the concentration of a B in the mixture, that means the concentration of the B divided by concentration of B plus concentration of the C. So if you write the P into K1 by P into K1 plus P into K2, the PP will gets cancelled out. So you will get finally K1 by K1 plus K2. So this is a very, very important expression regarding the percentage of the product in the mixture. Are you getting my point? Now, similarly, what is the percentage of C in the mixture of B and C? That means the concentration of C divided by concentration of B plus concentration of C, which is equal to what? K2 upon K1 plus K2. Percentage means multiplied by 100. So this is also very important expression regarding the percentage composition of the product in the mixture, product to mixture. So these two expressions are very, very important. Are you getting my point? So this is the percentage composition in the reaction mixture B and C. Now here, what will be the half-life? What is the half-life period? That is T50, otherwise T1/2. Okay. Now here A gives B and also simultaneously to give C. Okay. Now in this two parallel path, in the first path rate constant K1, in the second path rate constant K2. In the first path, what will be the T50? Let's suppose T50 for first path will be equal to, according to first order kinetics, T50 or T1/2 0.693, that is ln 2 logarithm 2 natural logarithm 2 divided by rate constant K1. Now in the second path, what will be the what will be the half-life period? 0.693 by K2. Now I want to calculate the overall half-life of reactant A. So here T50 effective या overall, otherwise effective or overall is equal to 0.693 upon K effective. Upon what? K effective. What is the K effective? K1 plus K2. What is the K effective here? K1 plus K2. Are you getting my point here? K1 plus K2. So here T50 effective will be equal to 0.693 divided by, what is the K effective? K1 plus K2. So what is the K1 here? From the above expression, from here K1 is equal to 0.693 by T50 first path, and next to 0.693 by T50 second path. Are you getting my point? So finally effective half-life will be equal to 1 upon 1 by T50 first path plus 1 upon T50 in the second path. Are you getting my point? So again I am writing 1 by T50 effective. 1 by T50 effective is equal to 1 by T50 first path plus 1 by T50 second path. Are you getting my point? So this is the effective half-life period for the first order parallel reaction. Are you getting my point? From here there is one more important one, that is called what? Effective activation energy. Next one is what? Effective activation energy. Now next what I am writing here? Effective activation energy. Now here reactant A, product B and product C simultaneously they are formed. Now in the path 1, what is the activation energy? EA1. In the path 2, activation energy EA2. Okay. Now what will be the overall effective activation energy? Okay. Now here we know from Arrhenius equation, K equal to A into e to the power minus EA by RT. Okay. Now what is the K effective? K effective nothing but the algebraic sum of K1 and K2. What is the K1? Path 1 rate constant. What is the K2? Path 2 rate constant. So K effective, if you apply this K effective in this expression, so instead of A, I am writing A effective into e to the power minus EA effective whole divided by RT, which is equal to K1 is equal to A1 into e to the power minus EA1 by RT plus A2 e to the power minus EA2 by RT. Here I am taking the temperature constant. Temperature is what? Constant. Are you getting my point? Now what I am doing here, I am differentiation on both sides with respect to temperature. With respect to what? Temperature. Now A effective, that is the frequency factor, that is a constant. So I am writing the constant as it is, okay, into e to the power of x, e to the power of minus x, e to the power of minus x minus EA effective by RT, and next to EA by RT in differentiation, if you see, minus EA by R 1 by T minus 1 by T square. 1 by T becomes minus 1 by T square. Are you getting my point? So here minus of minus become plus, so 1 by T square I am writing here as it is, will be equal to A1 e to the power of minus EA1 by RT, and the inner function, if you again differentiate the inner function, you will get EA1 EA effective, this is EA1 by RT square, okay, plus one more is there, A2 e to the power minus EA2 by RT, again in the inner function, if you further differentiation, EA2 by RT square. Are you getting my point? Now here E effective into e to the power of minus EA effective by RT, again shall I write K effective, yes, into EA effective upon RT square is equal to, so A1 into e to the power of minus EA1 by RT, shall I write K1, yes, into EA1 by RT square plus A2 into e to the power of minus EA2 by RT, shall I write K2, yes, into EA2 by RT square. Now if you see, the LCM will be RT square on both sides, gets cancelled out, okay. So finally you will get K effective, which is K effective into activation energy effective EA effective, which is equal to K1 EA1 plus K2 EA2. Are you getting it? So finally, what is the overall activation energy of the reaction? That is the EA effective is equal to K1 EA1 plus K2 EA2 whole divided by K effective, nothing but the K1 plus K2. K effective, nothing but the K1 plus K2. This is the overall first order parallel reaction activation energy. First order parallel reaction activation energy. Are you getting my point? Now here one important key point. Let's suppose in a reaction A gives B and C. A gives B and C. Now here in the previous example we use only stoichiometry 1:1:1. Now here let's suppose I am using the stoichiometry. Let's suppose here N1 moles A, N2 moles B, N3 moles C. Here first order rate constant K1, units are time inverse, and the second path first order, again the rate constant units are again time inverse. Okay, so these are the worthful points, important points, key points. What are the important key points? The first key point, that will be the K effective. The K effective is equal to, actually K1 plus K2. But what will be the stoichiometry of the reactant N1? So we have to multiply the stoichiometry of the reactant, that is N1 into K1 plus K2. Are you getting my point? Number 1. Number 2, what is the T50 effective? That is overall effective in the sense overall reaction half-life period, that will be equal to 0.693 by K effective. What is the K effective? That will be equal to N1 into, that is the reactant stoichiometry, N1 into K1 plus K2. This is the second important point. Okay. Now come to the third important point. What will be the concentration of reactant at a certain time interval T, that is equal to initial concentration of reactant into e to the power minus N1 into K1 plus K2 into T. N1 into K1 plus K2 into T. Okay. Now what will be the degree of dissociation? DOD, degree of dissociation alpha, which is equal to 1 minus e to the power minus N1 K1 plus K2 times of the time interval. Are you getting my point? This is the fourth important point. Now the fifth important point, what is the concentration of a product to be at a certain time interval T? That will be equal to, now what is the stoichiometry of the B? That will be the N2 into rate constant K1 divided by, what is the K effective? N1 into K1 plus K2 into concentration of reactant initial A0 into 1 minus e to the power minus N1 K1 plus K2 into T. Are you getting my point? This will be the concentration of a product to be at a certain time interval T. Again, one more product is there, that is the C. What is the concentration of the product to C at a certain time interval T? Now what will be the stoichiometry of the product to C? N3. And what is the rate constant for the formation of C? That will be the K2 divided by, what is the K effective? That is N1 into K1 plus K2. N1 into K1 plus K2 into concentration of reactant at time interval T0 into 1 minus e to the power of minus K effective, that is N1 into K1 plus K2 times of the time interval. Are you getting my point? Next, one more important point, the ratio between the concentration of product B and concentration of the product C at a certain time interval T. From equation 5 and 6, if you see on the right side, A0 gets cancelled, 1 minus e to the power of minus N1 K1 plus K2 T cancel, and the denominator N1 K1 plus K2 cancel. So finally you will get N2 K1 upon N3 K2. And the next one more very important point, that is the percentage of B in the mixture. The percentage of B will be equal to N2 K1 divided by N2 K1 plus N3 K2 into 100. And one more important point, that will be the percentage of product C in the product mixture, that is equal to N3 K2 divided by N2 K1 plus N3 K2 multiplied by 100. So these are the very important 9 points. That is the K effective, that next one T50, next one concentration of reactant A at a certain time interval T, next degree of dissociation, next concentration of product B at a certain time interval T, and the next product of concentration of C at a certain time interval T, and next concentration ratio of the products B and C, and next percentage of B in the product mixture, and next percentage of C in the product mixture. Are you getting my point? So these are the very important useful points. Okay. Now come to the question number 105. In question number 105, calculate the effective rate constant, effective half-life, concentration of reactant A at a time interval T, concentration of product B at a time interval T, concentration of a product C at a time interval T, the ratio of the concentration of B and C, percentage of B and percentage of C. Just now I explain all these formulae. Here just you take the N1 value, N2 value, N3 value. Are you getting my point? Now here, what is the first question? Answer. That is the K effective. K effective nothing but N1, that is the stoichiometry of the reactant, that will be 3 into K1 plus K2. Are you getting my point? So this will be the first question answer. Rate constant, effective rate constant. Number 2, effective half-life, that means T 50% effective is equal to 0.693 by K effective. Yes or no? What is the K effective here? N1 times of K1 plus K2, because K effective here is equal to N1 times of K1 plus K2, where N1 is the stoichiometry of the reactant A. Okay, so from here 0.693 divided by N1 is the 3 times of the K1 plus K2. Are you getting my point? Once we know the K1, K2 values, we can find everything. Okay, now the question number 3. What is the question number 3? Concentration of reactant at a certain time interval T. What is the concentration of a reactant at a certain time interval T? AT is equal to A0 into e to the power minus K effective. What is the K effective? 3 times of the K1 plus K2 into T. Are you getting my point? This will be the concentration of reactant at a certain time interval T. Next, what will be the degree of dissociation alpha? That will be 1 minus e to the power minus 3 into K1 plus K2. That is 1 minus e to the power of minus K effective into time period. Okay. Now the next question is the what will be the concentration of the product? What will be the concentration of the product? Okay. Now here the concentration of a product, that is the B. Concentration of a product, that will be the B at a certain time interval T. At a certain time interval T, that will be equal to what? Two K1, that will be the N2 times of K1 divided by K effective. What is the K effective? 3 times of K1 plus K2 into concentration reactant A0 1 minus e to the power minus K effective, that will be the 3 times of K1 plus K2 into time period. Are you getting my point? Now what will be the concentration of product to C at a time interval T? So what is the stoichiometry of the C? 5. And what is the rate constant for the formation of C? That will be K2 whole divided by what will be the K effective? 3 times of K1 plus K2 into what is the initial concentration of reactant? That will be A0 1 minus e to the power of minus K effective, that is 3 minus 3 into K1 plus K2 times of the time period. And the next one more is there, the ratio between the concentration of product B to the concentration of product to C at a time interval T. So equation 5 divided by equation 6, finally you will get 2K1 divided by 5K2. Remember, the ratio of your products will always in the ratio of their rate constants and also in the ratio of their stoichiometry. So here the stoichiometry 2, rate constant K1 divided by stoichiometry 5, rate constant K2, that will be the product concentration B divided by the product concentration C at a certain time interval T. Are you getting my point? And one more is there, percentage of B in the mixture, that will be 2K1 by total 2K1 plus 5K2 multiplied by 100. And one more is there, percentage of C in the product mixture, that will be equal to 5K2 divided by 2K1 plus 5K2 multiplied by 100. Are you getting my point? So this will be the question number 105. Okay, now the question number 106. What is the question number 106? A gives B and A gives C the parallel path rate constants k1 and k2. What is the k1 value given? X. Our inverse. Our inverse means time inverse. So k1 corresponding to k1 rate constant units corresponding to first order kinetics, and the ratio between k1 k2 will be given 1/10, that is 1:10. Calculate the concentration of C divided by calculate the concentration of C upon A at a time interval t after 1 hour. Time period is given after 1 hour from the starting of the reaction, assuming only A was present in the mixture. Only which is present in the mixture? A is present in the mixture. Are you getting my point? Now here, what will be the concentration of reactant A at a certain time interval t? That is equal to A0 into e to the power minus k effective nothing but k1 plus k2. What is the stoichiometry of reactant A? 1. So that's why I am writing only k1 plus k2 into time period. Are you getting my point? Now here, concentration of a reactant A at a certain time interval t will be equal to A0 into, now what will be the k1 value? X, our inverse. What is the k1 by k2? 1/10. So k1 by k2 equal to 1/10. That means k2 is equal to 10 k1. So k1 plus k2 will be equal to, so 10 k1 plus k1, 11 k1, that will be 11 into x. Are you getting my point? So here instead of k1 plus k2 I am writing 11x minus 11x. What is the time period given? 1 hour. So minus 11x. Are you getting my point? Once again I am writing concentration of reactant A at a certain time interval t, that will be equal to A0 into e to the power minus 11x, equation number 1. What is the concentration of product to C at a time interval t? So what is the stoichiometry of the C? 1. What is the rate constant for the formation of C? K2. So 1 into K2, that will be the K2. By K effective will be K1 plus K2. K effective will be K1 plus K2 into concentration of reactant at a certain time interval t, A0, into 1 minus e to the power minus K effective, that is minus K1 plus K2 times of the time period. Okay. Now here also concentration of a C at a time interval t. So instead of K2 I am writing that 10x by 11x into concentration of reactant A at a time interval 0, 1 minus e to the power minus 11x. Are you getting my point? That will be equation number 2. So here xx gets cancelled. So overall the question is given concentration of product to C at a time interval t divided by A at a time interval t. That means we have to do equation 2 divided by equation 1. Are you getting my 2? Equation 2 divided by 1. Equation 2 left side concentration of C at a time interval t, and equation 1 concentration of reactant A at a time interval t. Are you getting my point? That will be equal to 10 by 11 into 1 minus e to the power minus 11x whole divided by e to the power minus 11x. Okay. So finally concentration of C at a time interval t upon concentration of A at a time interval t will be equal to 10 by 11. Okay. 1 by e to the power of minus 11x, that means e to the power 11x minus e to the power of minus 11x by e to the power of minus 11x, that will be 1. So this is the final answer. Okay. Now come to question number 107. Calculate the ratio of the concentration of P at a time interval t whole divided by sum of the concentration of Q and R. What is the P? Reactant. What are the QR? Products at a time interval t. Are you getting my point? Now in this, what is the concentration of the reactant at a certain time interval t? That will be the initial concentration of a reactant multiply e to the power of minus K effective nothing but K1 plus K2 times of the time period. Okay. Let's suppose this is the equation 1. Now what is the concentration of product Q at a certain time interval T? That will be equal to K1, that is the rate constant for the formation of Q, and its stoichiometry is already 1. So K1 into 1, K1 by K1 plus K2 times of the initial concentration of reaction P0, reactant P0 into 1 minus e to the power of K effective into time. Okay. Now one more concentration, that will be the product concentration R will be equal to K2 upon K1 plus K2 concentration of reactant initially multiplied by 1 minus e to the power of K effective into time period. Okay, equation 2, equation 3. First of all, what we are doing, 2 and 3, add 2 and 3. What is the 2? Concentration of Q at a time interval T. What is the 3? Concentration of R at a time interval T. Now in this what happens, what are the common features here? P0 common, so P0 into 1 minus P0 into, that is the concentration of product at a certain time interval, initial, not at a certain time, initial, multiplied by 1 minus e to the power of minus K effective into time period. Okay, so K1 plus K2 divided by K1 plus K2 gets cancelled. This will be the equation number 4. Now what is the question? Concentration of product, concentration of P divided by concentration of Q plus R. So now what I am doing here, 1 divided by equation number 4. What is the 1? Concentration of a P at a time interval T whole divided by, what is the 4? Concentration of a Q at a time interval T plus concentration of R at a time interval T. That will be equal to, so P0 gets cancelled, e to the power of minus of K1 plus K2 times of the time period divided by 1 minus e to the power of minus K1 plus K2 time period T. Are you getting my point? So after simplification, concentration of P at a time interval T divided by the sum of the concentration of Q and R at a time interval T, which is equal to, shall I write 1 divided by e to the power K1 plus K2 into time period minus 1 into minus 1. So this is the final answer. Are you getting my point? Now come to next question 108. In this question, if the half-life of reactant A is 6.93 seconds, percentage distribution of B, C, D are respectively 40, 25, 35% respectively, then find the partial half-life of A to B, A to C and A to D. Are you getting my point? So here the question is, find the individual, that is the partial half-lives, individual or partial half-lives. Now first of all, what is the overall effective half-life T50, effective T50 will be equal to 0.693 divided by K effective, nothing but K1 plus K2 plus K3. The stoichiometry of a reactant is only 1, that's why 1 into K1 plus K2 plus K3, that is nothing but K1 plus K2 plus K3. Are you getting my point? What is the half-life of effective reaction is given? 6.93. 6.93 equal to 0.693 upon K1 plus K2 plus K3. From here shall write K1 plus K2 plus K3 will be equal to 0.1. This is the equation 1. Okay. Now what is the percentage of B in the product mixture? 40%. So first of all I am writing A to D. What is the percentage here? D, A to B. A to B. What is the percentage is given here? 40%. Now actually what is the formula to calculate percentage B? That will be equal to K1 upon K1 plus K2 plus K3 multiplied by 100. What is the percentage of B here? 40 will be equal to K1 upon K1 plus K2 plus, just wait. What is the value of K1 plus K2 plus K3? Already we know from equation 1 that will be the 0.1 into 100. Are you getting my point? From here the K1 value will be 4 upon 100, that is 1 upon 25. 1 upon 25 per second. Okay. Now what is the K1? That is equal to 0.693 by T50 first path reaction. So from here T50 for the first path reaction 0.693 by K1. So 0.693 by K1 value 1 upon 25. So T50 in the first path, that means A to B half-life will be equal to 0.693 into 25. 0.693 into 25. Are you getting my point? That will be equal to, otherwise you can simplify this one. So what are the units here? Seconds. So in the similar way, if you want to calculate the half-life in the path of A to C, so what is the percentage of C in the mixture given here? 25%. So 25 will be equal to K2 upon K1 plus K2 plus K3, that will be again 0.1 into 100. From here you have to find the K2. After getting the K2, you can find the T50 for the second path of the reaction. Similarly for the third path of the reaction also, K3 equal to 0.693 divided by T50 for the third path of the reaction. Are you getting my point? Now come to the question number 109. What is the question number here? 109. If the reaction starts from X, okay, and what is the K1 value given here? What is the K1 value given here? 1 into 10 to the power minus 4 second inverse. And at a given time, the interval, the concentration ratio of Y to Z, that means the concentration of Y divided by the concentration of a Z at a time interval T, it is given 1 by 4. Find the K2. Already I told you the concentration of Y divided by the concentration of a Z at any time interval T will be in the ratio of their rate constants. And one more important thing, the stoichiometry will be 1:1. So that's why need not to write the stoichiometry. Okay, the ratio 1 by 4. And what is the K1 value? 1 into 10 raised to minus 4. So you can find the K2 value. Yes, K2 will be 4 times of the K1. K2 will be 4 times of the K1. Are you getting my point? Now question number 110. Actinium 227 has half-life of 22 years, has decay follows parallel path. Do you know radioactive decay follows first order kinetics? So this is a first order and second path is also first order. It is not mentioned, but still actinium, that is a radioactive element, so the decay follows first order. Now find the decay constant. What is the decay constant? Nothing but rate constant. Decay constant nothing but rate constant. So the decay constant for thorium and francium, decay constant lambda 1 indirectly K1, lambda 2 indirectly K2. And percentage yield is given. Now what is the percentage yield of thorium given here? 2%, which is equal to K1 upon K1 plus K2 multiplied by 100. Are you getting my point? Now what is the half-life overall reaction? 22. So do you know T50 is equal to 0.693 by K effective or K1 plus K2? So from here K1 plus K2 will be equal to 0.693 by 22. Are you getting my point? So you know the K1 plus K2 value, so you can find the K1 and K2. Okay, from here 2 equal to K1, that is to be calculated. K1 plus K2 we know 0.693 divided by 22 multiplied by 100. From here the K1, that is the rate constant in the first path of the reaction, that is 0.00063. Okay, Now come to second one. What is the second one? Francium. Percentage of francium, how much is given? 98. That is equal to K2 upon K1 plus K2 multiplied by 100. From here 98 is equal to, we have to find the K2. What is the K1 plus K2? 0.693 by 22 into 100. From here shall I find the K2? Yes, that will be 0.03087. Are you getting my point? So radioactive decay follows first order parallel path. Okay. A radioactive isotope A changes simultaneous decay to give B and C. Nuclei as shown. Assume initially only A is present. After how many hours will the amount of C formed will be equal to the double amount of the A remaining. First of all, A gives what? B and also C. Okay, simultaneously. Okay, now what is the time period? That means in which time period, how much of time taken in hours, so that the concentration of C formed will be equal to double the concentration of A left remainder. Are you getting my point? Now here, if you see, what is the half-life given? The half-life, here half-life, here half-life T50 given 9 hours. It is also in the given question. T50, it is given 4.5 hours. Are you getting my point? Now here, what is the, this is also given in the question. Okay. Now in this answer, first of all, what is the K effective? K1 plus K2. Are you getting my point? So K1 value 0.693 by T50, that is the 9 hours, plus in the second part 0.693 by T50, that is the 4.5 hours. So what will be the overall K effective? That will be equal to 0.693 by 3 hour inverse. Are you getting my point? Now here, if you observe the half-life, what is the half-life for the formation of C? A to C 4.5 hours. But whereas from A to B 9 hours. That means from A to B, if you reach A to B in 9 hours, there will be the concentration of A become half. That means half of the A will be converted into the B. But if you see from A to C, the half-life is 4.5 hours. That means from 0 to 9 hours, there are two half-lives. 4.5 first half-life, next to 4.5 second half-life. That means while A to B, there is only half-life 9 hours, but from A to C there are two half-life periods. That means the concentration of C which is formed will be double than the concentration of B which is formed from A. Are you getting my point? Once again I am repeating. From A to C, the half-life period will be 4.5 hours, whereas from A to B, the half-life period will be the 9 hours. That means if you reaching from A to B and A to C, so from A to C, you are getting double the concentration as compared to A to B, because from A to B 9 hours, but A to C you have 4.5 hours. That means in 9 hours there are 4.5 two times. That means 2 times the concentration become double as compared to the A to B path. Are you getting my point? So that's why what I am doing here, I am taking the concentration, initial concentration of reactant capital A as a naught or A. Okay, at a initial time. Let's suppose at a certain time interval t, what happens? Let's suppose x moles of B is formed, according to which how many moles of C should be formed? 2x moles. Why the concentration of C is double than the concentration of a B? Because here half-life is 9 hours, but here the half-life is 4.5 hours. That means two half-lives are there here. That means 2 times, that means double the concentration of B, the C will be formed. The concentration of C will be double the concentration of B. This is very important. And how much of concentration of reactant left? A naught minus 3x, because x moles converted into B and 2x moles converted into C from A. The remaining number of moles of A will be A naught minus 3x. This is very important. And one more given condition. What is the given condition? The given condition, the concentration of the C formed will be equal to 2 times of the double the concentration of A left. Are you getting my point? How much of C will be formed here? 2x. How much of A will be left here? A naught minus 3x. 2 times of the A naught minus 3x. So from here, shall I write A naught is equal to 4x. Are you getting my point? A naught is equal to what? 4x. Now what is the first order parallel rate constant expression? K1 plus K2 is equal to 2.303 by T log of initial concentration of reactant A naught by concentration of reactant at a certain time interval T. This is the rate constant expression. Okay. Now what is the K1 plus K2? K effective, that will be 0.693 by 3. So shall I write here 0.693 by 3 equal to 2.303 time period to be calculated log of what is the A naught value? I am writing A naught only by A naught minus 3x. Are you getting my pen? Do you know the A naught value in terms of x or x value in terms of A naught? So A naught value 4x, 4x by 4x minus 3x, x, 4x by x will be x, 4x by x will be 4. So log 4 will be the 2 log 2. Okay, after simplification, you will get the time period will be the 6 hours. Time period will be how many hours? 6 hours. This is a very important question. Are you getting my point? Next, one more question is there. Question number 112. A gives B and A gives C. What is the rate constant K1? 6.93 into 10 raised to minus 2 per minute, and K2 13.86, that means double. That means K2 will be equal to 2 times of K1. Are you getting my point? Now, A, B, C all are optically active compounds. If the optical rotation per unit concentration of A, B, C respectively 60 degrees, minus 72 degrees, 42 degrees. 60 in the sense plus 60. 42 in the sense plus 42 degrees. That is dextro, plus means dextro, minus means levorotatory. And initial concentration of A was given 2 molar. Then select the statements, correct statements. First statement, a solution will be optically active and dextro-rotatory after a long time. Number 2, solution will be optically active but levorotatory after a long time. First option dextro, second option levo. Half-life of the reaction is 15 minutes. After 75% conversion of A into B and C, the angle of rotation of the solution will be 36 degrees. Are you getting my point? Now here in this question, first of all, what is the reaction given? A to B and A to C. What is the K1 here? That is equal to 6.93 10 raised to minus 2 per minute. And what about the K2 here? 13.86 into 10 raised to minus 2. Remember, both the rate constant units are per minute. That means time inverse. So both are first order kinetics. Remember, K2 shall I write 2 times of K1? Yes. Are you getting my point? K2 will be greater than K1 here. Now you see, what is the initial time? T0. What is the molarity of the reactant A? 2 molar. Okay. Now after a long time, what is the meaning of a long time? Long time in the sense infinity time. After a long time, completely reactant will consume. Only product B and C will be present. Are you getting my point? Now here, if you see, here K1, here K2 nothing but 2K1. That means the formation of B from A and formation of C from A. If you observe which rate is very fast, formation of C from A as compared to B. How many times fast? 2 times. That means suppose if from A to B x moles of B is formed, then A to C 2x moles of C will be formed because the rate constant A to C is 2 times as compared to the rate constant A to B. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? That means you have 2 moles initially. Out of the 2 moles, we have to distribute the 2 moles into B and C. Into B and C. Let's suppose this is A, this is B, this is C. So from A to B, let's suppose X moles are consumed. Now how many moles of A will be consumed to form the C? 2x moles. Why? Because the rate constant here 2K1, but whereas in the A to B, K1. Are you getting my point? This is very, very important. Now at a long time, after long time, after long time, what will be the concentration of the B? Now here total you have x moles of B and 2x moles of C. Total moles how much? 3x. Out of which how much of B will be present? X by total, x plus 2x, 3x. That means 1 by 3 of 2 molar. Total molar 2 molar. Out of 2 molar, B will be present 1 by 3. That means 2 by 3 molar. And similarly, what is the concentration of C? That will be 2 by 3 molar. 2 by 3 times of the 2 molar, that will be the 4 by 3 molar. This is very important. 1 by 3 times of B and 2 by 3 times of the C out of the total molar. Are you getting my point? Now here I am calculating angle of rotation where after long period. Angle of rotation after long time. After long time is only you have products, no reactant. Okay. Now how many moles of B is present? 2 by 3. What is the angle of rotation of B? That is minus 72 degrees. That is given in the question. How many moles of C will be present? 4 by 3 into its angle of rotation is given 42. After simplification, you will get plus 8 degrees. Plus in the sense you have dextro-rotatory. The solution becomes what? Dextro-rotatory. What is the first option? A solution will be optically active. Yes, and dextro-rotatory. That means option A is correct. Option A is correct. Now come to next. What is the T50 for the path A to B? For the path A to B, that is equal to 0.693 upon K1. Okay, which is equal to, here K1 is given 0.693. What is the K1 given here? 6.93 into 10 raised to minus 2. So you will get how much? 10 minutes in the reaction A to B half period. Similarly, what is the half period for the process A to C? That will be equal to 0.693 by K2. What is the K2 here? 2 times. So 0.693 by here 2 times of the otherwise you can write the exact value 13.86. 13.86 into 10 raised to minus 2, which you will get the 5 minutes. Okay. Now what is the K effective? K effective is equal to K1 plus K2. Okay. K1 will be 6.93 10 raised to minus 2 plus 13.86 into 10 raised to minus 2. So that will be 3 into 6.93 into 10 raised to minus 2 per minute. Okay. Now what will be the T effective overall? T effective will be 0.693 by K effective. Okay. 0.693 by, what is the K effective here? 3 into 6.93 into 10 raised to minus 2. So what will be the TF50 overall reaction? That will be 10 by 3 minutes. How many minutes? 10 by 3 minutes. Now here option B incorrect, because in the option B livo, but our answer is dextro. Now what is the half life? We got 10 by 3, but in the question 15 minutes. So this is also incorrect. Come to D option. After 75% conversion of A into BC, the angle of rotation will be 36 degrees. Let us see. Now here, after 75% completion of reaction, after 75% conversion of A into B and C. Now what is the concentration of A? Concentration of A is equal to initial concentration of A 2 molar. Now 75% completed, and the remaining concentration of A will be 25% of the 2 molar. That will be the 0.5 molar. Yes or no? Once again, initial actually how many moles are there? 2 molar. Out of which 75% consumed, the remaining percentage of A will be 25%. So 2 molar 25% means 0.5 molar. Now what about the concentration of the B? So before going to the concentration of a B, so actually what is the total concentration? 2 molar. So concentration of A consumed, how much it is consumed? 2 molar minus 0.5 molar, that means 1.5 molar A consumed. Yes or no? Total 2 molar. Now it is how much left? Concentration of A left after completion of 75% will be 0.5 molar. That means how much of A consumed? 1.5 molar. Okay, now this 1.5 molar will be distributed into B and C. So that's why first of all I am calculating concentration of B. Concentration of B will be equal to 1.5 molar into 1 by 3. Why I am taking the 1 by 3 here? Here 1 by 3. Are you getting my point? In case of concentration of C, we have to multiply with 2 by 3 with the total concentration. But initial concentration 2 molar, but here we have only 1.5 molar. Are you getting my point? 1.5 molar into 1 by 3. So you will get 0.5 molar. And what about the concentration of C? 1.5 molar into 2 by 3. That yields 1 molar. So we have total concentrations. So we have to multiply the concentration with rotation, angle of rotation. So finally we will get what is the angle of rotation, where after 75% completion of A into BC. So how much of A is present? 0.5 molar into what is its specific angle of rotation? 60 degrees, plus how much of B is obtained? 0.5 molar into specific rotation minus 72 degrees, plus what is the number of moles of C formed? 1 molar into what is its specific, what is its angle of rotation given? 42 degrees. Are you getting my point? So overall you will get 36 degrees. Are you getting my point? That means angle of rotation after 75% completion of A into BC will be 36. That means D option is correct. So finally there are 2 options are correct. What are the correct options? Are A and D. So final answer, correct options. This is multiple choice question, A and D.